So birth partners, this video is for you. There is no point in mama being super prepared, super educated, ready for birth, confident in her abilities and her decisions if you aren't confident in her and her abilities too. I like to think about birth partners as being the advocate, the guardian of the cave, so that when labor does unfold, mama can stay in that left side of her brain, that instinctual, animalistic, primal part of her body, so that she can just literally follow her body's lead. And doesn't have to be asking any questions, advocating for herself, coming out of that brain space and into her more critical, analytical right side of her brain at all. So birth partners, how do we get there? How do we become confident, ready to support our partners in all of the ways? I'm going to give you some tips. Number one is probably a really obvious one, but that is prepare for birth in the same way that mum is. And for this, I don't necessarily mean, reading a ton of books, but doing one birth preparation class that details outside of hospital birth preparation. So it's not preparing you for the hospital policies and procedures and the way that they want you to birth. It's private antenatal education, like in my Empowered Birth course, that's going to detail ways that you can support your partner, acupressure tools, massage, counter pressure, ways that you can be one step ahead of her in terms of figuring out what her needs might be. So if you haven't already looked at all of the videos in my Empowered Birth course, this is step number one. That is your nudge. So step number two is going to be familiarizing yourself with what normal physiological birth looks like. I see so many beautiful, music and water birth and really tranquil birth videos on social media in particular, but I want you to see the raw ones, the ones with no music overlay, the ones that are messy, that are primal, that show the rawness of physiological birth. And when, as birth partners, we can know what that looks like, we know what the sounds are, we know that it can be a little messy, and we know to expect these birth sounds, it becomes less scary and much more familiar. And so when labor unfolds with our own partners, we can be nodding alongside them and being like, yes, this is so normal. You are doing so well. You are so strong. This is so good. And celebrate those sounds and the messiness, the rawness that comes with birth, instead of going, oh my gosh, I've never seen this before. Everything else had music overlaid on it. I don't really know what this looks like. Or the other side of it is I'm just going to trust the experts and not prepare at all and just let you do it because I'm not the one birthing. So becoming empowered around what normal physiological birth looks like is key. So my next tip in being the best birth partner that you can be is to be quiet. Holding space often looks like being near, being present, being calm. Maybe that's that eye contact that is really going to ground mama. It is certainly not being on your phone, answering texts, messages, emails, making small talk or chit chat with the midwives or the staff who are on looking after your partner. Now is the time for you to be present, to be grounding them and anticipating their needs. So that leads me into my next point. Don't ask mama what she wants. Don't say, would you like a drink? Would you like to go to the loo? Would you like some lip balm? You want to be anticipating her needs. You are seeing that things are progressing. You're applying back pressure. If she doesn't like it, she's sure as heck going to let you know. She'll just swat you away. Don't be offended. You're going to offer her a drink of water. You're going to go ahead and set up the space. Make it your own. Dim those lights. Get your diffuser going. Set up her favorite music playlist. Do those things, and mama's going to let you know if she doesn't want them. But by doing them ahead of her requirements, anticipating those needs, you are protecting her space, and you are acting in a meaningful way that supports her birthing needs, her birthing preferences, and meaning that she gets to stay in that left side of her brain. So super important. Don't ask mama, don't pop that birthing bubble for her. Help her to stay in her bubble by anticipating her needs. The next one comes to the point of advocacy. And advocacy is such a large topic that I have an entire module dedicated to it in my Empowered Birth course. But advocating for your partner is a whole other thing. And we can't advocate for our partner's wants and needs unless we know what they are. So when it comes to this tip, I want you to create your birth preferences together. And we're talking about your birth preferences for your plan A, so when everything goes to plan B, plan C, and plan D. So you are planning for every eventuality. And this means that not only do you have this beautiful communication tool that you've developed together, but when it comes to engaging with your healthcare practitioners and someone comes in and says, hey, we're offering you this such and such an intervention, you can say, oh, great, I can actually answer this question because I know what the birthing person wants. And you don't have to, you can leave them in their birth bubble and do that for them. And that's such a huge gift. But you're not going to be able to advocate for her wants, her needs, her desires, her birth preferences if you don't know what they are. So create your birth preferences together, and at the very least, make sure that they are something that you are familiar with, that you understand what they mean, the terminology, the breakdown. Maybe that means printing off a copy, laminating it, and having one for yourself in your back pocket. Maybe it means changing your screensaver on your phone so you know exactly what she does and doesn't want. And if at all, if you are just super busy and you haven't had the time to watch any other video, but your partner has said this video is for you, babe, you need to watch this, I want you to understand how to ask. How to be able to ascertain if that option that is being presented to you is medically necessary. How to understand what are the pros, what are the cons, and what are the alternatives. That's all you need to be able to ask. And from those questions, you'll be able to figure out if that birthing intervention is really for you guys or if it's something that is for the hospital. The next one is sort of, I've touched on it already, but that's environment and protecting the cave, protecting that birthing cave. If we were to go back in time and think about how we would have birthed our babies as cavemen and women, we would have found a quiet, safe space, and the partner's job was to protect the cave from any wild animals getting in. Okay, so there was some real worries back then. We don't quite have the same worries nowadays. But our bodies don't know the difference between the hospital staff coming in, the barrage of new faces and new voices. Maybe it's someone coming in and turning on the main hospital lights, really obtrusive, really obnoxious. Not what you want when you're trying to tell your body a message that says, we are safe, we are okay, we are safe to birth our babies. And so as the birth partner, and I do this as well as a doula, you are protecting that cave. So you're saying, okay, what can I do here that's going to really set the tone? What can I do here to ensure the power over the room? So that means maybe putting a sign up on the outside of the door that says, quiet, please, hypnobirthing couple. Maybe it's coming in and dimming the lights straight away. You are really taking the power over that space. Another way that I love this sort of protector of the cave, creating that power over the room and sort of maintaining that power, is to go right over to the hospital bed, which we see so many of these dramatized videos of birth where this is like the center of the pinnacle, right, of birth. Everyone gives birth on the bed. And I want you to go ahead and press the button that lifts it up to its highest point. So now, not only is it a beautiful tool for mama to be able to lean on and sway and, have that lovely tool for her movement during labor, but also let's go ahead another step and use it as our storage unit. Let's put all the bags up there. Let's throw the birthing ball up there if it's not being used. And immediately what we have done is so powerful. We've created that sort of power play over the room that this is now our space, okay? So all of a sudden, instead of us asking permission to do the different things in the environment and in the space of the room, you might find that the healthcare practitioners are coming to you and saying, is it okay if I just turn this light on really quickly so I can see? Or do you mind terribly? I'm trying to nudge past you here. I've got a stool I need to move. And so you have maintained that power in a space that has now feels a bit more like your own. And it also means by moving the bed up to that height, we have created a significant visual obstacle that means there's much less likely to be those, oh, mama, quick, hop up on the bed there and I'll just do a vaginal examination. We now require an entire conversation piece before that happens. Or, can you pop up quickly and I'm just going to throw a monitor on the baby. And it's not something that is so easy to do, giving birth, unless you specifically want to give birth on the bed and you have to make the focus and that a priority to then move it back to a space where it suits you. But if you plan on being on all fours, squatting, lunging, you are much better off to have a mat on the floor so that you can be closer to the earth, closer to the ground. Safer for you, safer for baby, better for your pelvic floor, better for creating space in terms of the biomechanics of birth, for baby to come through slowly and gently. So, guardian of the cave, come in, create your space, turn off the lights, put a sign on the door, remind any staff that she's in her birthing bubble and if they have any questions, they can just come to you, and move that bed up out of the way. Throw all your bags on top of it. That's going to create a really big visual message when it comes to birthing in the hospital space. And then the final tip, so tip number 7, is going to be mind yourself. And this might sound a little bit counterintuitive when you think, surely it's all about just like giving. But you are no good to the birthing person if you are feeling a little faint in the corner. And I've seen it happen. I have had birth partners actually faint because they haven't drank enough water. They haven't eaten anything since they left the house, or they haven't eaten anything in 24 hours. Or maybe they have also been awake with the birthing person for a longer labor, and while they've been feeding them nibbles of things, bits and pieces, they haven't been feeding themselves. So this is sort of twofold. I want you to eat and drink and do all of the things you're doing when you're, if you're feeding the birthing person, you're feeding yourself too. But also, if you're having a panic, if you're having a moment where you're noticing, okay, I'm a little bit nervous here, or there are just some decisions that are feeling a little bit tricky for me, or I'm noticing that my breath is quickening, I'm finding it harder to sort of regulate myself, I want you to have some tools in your back pocket. Because you are in no way, shape or form going to be able to regulate the birthing person if you can't regulate yourself. Put your own oxygen mask on first. So that means you mind yourself first so that you can better mind the birthing person. So thinking about, do I need to go outside for a minute and just take my shoes off and just put my feet into the grass? Do I need to just go and take a loo break and just calm myself down, take a few deep breaths? Maybe do a little bit of research around any decisions that we might have to make that we haven't yet researched on, if it comes about. Do my birth course and you probably won't have any questions. Or maybe it's just having that dad friend in your back pocket, and you're going to leave the room and you're going to call them and you're going to say, hey, I'm phoning a friend here. I need just someone to just calm me down and help me to make these decisions, or maybe just to come back into the room a little bit. So regulating yourself, minding yourself means that you can better support the birthing person and ultimately be the best birthing partner that any birthing person could wish for. Those are my tips. If you are struggling to find those tips in the moment and you haven't maybe done the homework, I would love for you to go ahead and download my birth partner advocacy sheet. This is a cheat sheet. This is the guide that you are going to need to know for every stage of labor so that you can help and be the best support that you can be. You don't have to be trying to remember all of these things. You just go ahead and you look and you say, okay, we're in an active phase of labor. Here's what I should be doing. So if you need a cheat sheet, go ahead and download it below.